Divergent, the movie! Crazy. I feel like the weight of it has been so long and I've anticipated it so much. I'm just so excited to finally talk about it. I have to say this was a phenomenal book to movie adaptation. I went into it I don't know, sometimes, it's book to movie adaptations. There's been some really good ones like Catching Fire, and there's been some really bad ones like Beautiful Creatures. So, your mind can only think so much about going into one because you're like, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? If it's bad, people are going to hate the book because the movie sucks. So you're like, oh. And honestly, I've not really cared a lot about a lot of book to movie adaptations except for Divergent. I was like, please Hollywood, please get this one right. I don't care if you get any of them wrong. I want Divergent to be right. And it was, and I am so thrilled to say that I loved it a lot. Like, loved it. Was it Catching Fire good? No, but Catching Fire is at the top of my list for book to movie adaptations, and Divergent is right below it, so it's still phenomenal. So yeah, let's talk about it. I'm a big book fan, I'm a big movie fan, you guys know that, but sometimes I don't really do a lot of research when it comes to book to movie adaptations because I want to be open to it. I don't want to really intense look at like the actors' previously roles, if they're good, if they're bad. I don't watch a lot of clips. I don't read a lot of news of it because I just want to kind of go into it with an open mind. I also really don't try to read the book very in advance because then I know I'll go into the movie and be very super nitpicky. I'll be like, that wasn't in the book, that wasn't in the book. I just kind of like to be open because yes, no matter what, there will be changes from the book. If you have a book that's literally being turned into a movie page for page, that's gonna be like a freaking long movie. So yeah, I was happy that I kind of went into an open that I didn't know very much, and it left me very satisfied. For a rating, before I get on to like spoilery stuff, I would give it a 5 out of 5, honestly. Yeah, I will give it that. It wasn't as good as Catching Fire, but it was right below it. It was still awesomely amazing book to movie adaptation. Amazing. Now here's the part where if you haven't seen the movie, you probably shouldn't watch any further because I don't want to spoil the movie for you. And if you guys haven't read the book either, I guess you shouldn't watch it either because I don't want to spoil the book for you. But let's talk about it. So the beginning, I'm very glad they went with Tris doing a monologue because if you know Divergent, any dystopian book, there's so much world building that has to be going on. If you put yourself in a contemporary, you're just like, hey, I'm from so-and-so, and I live in so-and-so, and yeah, with dystopians, you're like, I'm in this type of world, we got this stuff going on, these groups are separated, but why are they separated? All this kind of stuff. So I'm glad they did that monologue because it's very hard for someone that has not read the book to go see a movie and they're like, what do these factions mean? Why do they exist? Why is there like a fence? So I'm glad they did that monologue to kind of, tie everything together to introduce the viewers of how the world of Divergent and Chicago is. Or you know what I mean. How the world of Chicago is. And I gotta say, I loved the factions, how they're represented, the colors, how they had the grays, and how they had the amenity colors. Is that said right? And the Uridite colors, and the Kendor colors, and the Dauntless colors. Gosh, I gotta say, I first got really excited watching it when that Dauntless train pulled up and everybody started like jumping out. The soundtrack of this movie was phenomenal. There have been some soundtracks that have sucked. Looking at you, City of Bones, your soundtrack, horrible. But Divergent, amazing. They had not so many like kind of not pop singers, but well-known singers. They just had scores. So they had that like all this exciting stuff for Dauntless stuff. And I love that because it made my heart beat faster and I was watching the Dauntless jump out and I'm like, yeah, there's my people. And it was just really cool how the Dauntless just ran everywhere. So, and then I forget exactly, I've only seen this once. I will go see it again so I can get a little bit more in depth, but I have a bad memory and I'm always foggy on details, so don't be like, you forgot this. What happened after that? They, Janine went up there, talked, Janine. And they took their, what is it called? It's not their aptitude test, just their testing, and Tris was, it didn't have all the test in it, but I think it showed an important part of like, I wish it kind of would explain what the testing is, like everyone knows, like it would help you decide, but I think in the book that Tori explains it a little bit better, like, if you grab the knife, you're kind of dauntless, if you like grab like all that kind of stuff, so like it will specifically tell you that's a dauntless trait, that is a Candor trait and all that stuff. So it was kind of foggy, but I loved watching that. I thought it was a very, very cool testing scenario. If I'm saying that wrong, that's not what it's called. I forget, I apologize. But I love that, and I really love the scene where she had to pick the choosing ceremony, where she had, I thought it was really cool how when she cut her hand and she almost let the blood go into abnegation, she was like, this is right, and then she shifted her hand right over to Dauntless and let the blood, and the cold went, and it was just awesome. I love that. And then when she ran with Dauntless and climbing up that stuff, so awesome. Like the Dauntless, like awesome. Loved it so much. And then jumped off the train, and then Christina was introduced, and I loved Christina. I thought she was a great Christina. I could highly see that. Then she's the first one to jump off the roof into the net, and that scene was done beautifully. And then she meets Four, and my heart just melted. I went to see this with a friend who has never really heard of Divergent or read the books and all that stuff. She's like, oh wow. And I looked at her, I said, no, Four is mine. I said, everybody on BookTube knows that. Everyone's got their Pacific boyfriend and Four is mine. No one else can have him. And she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, Four is mine. And I thought Four did good. The only quip I have with Four is I know Theo James is British, so there was a couple lines where his British accent definitely slipped out. Like I think one time he was saying, congratulations, or I can't do a British accent, but I was like, yep, I can tell you're British. But other than that, Theo James, eye candy, Four, loved him. Loved him. And I thought Shailene Woodley did great as Triss. I could see her, and I knew she was a good actor, especially with the Descendants movie and Secret Life of a American Teenager. Not so good of a show, but she was really good as Triss. I could really see her. And then the Initiation, ugh. Brutal, brutal, brutal. I'm glad it wasn't as brutal as the book, because the books are brutal. And I guess reading the books, I was always like, I'm Dauntless for sure. And then after seeing it, like physically, like with my eyeballs, and see all the fights and stuff they went through, I was like, I don't know if I could be Dauntless. Like, I don't know if I could do that crap. Like, getting beat up when Triss was in the ring with Molly, I was like, oh gosh, this is not gonna be good. And then freaking Peter. I thought Peter did great. I hated him the minute I saw him. I was like, you little jerk. But I know we need you later, but you little freaking jerk. Sorry if I'm skipping around. I'm trying to go in chronological order, but that is hard. What happened after the initiation thing? I don't know. You see her going to her fear landscape, and when you see that and how she can just get out of them really, really easily because she's divergent, and that was very cool to see, you know, finally. And I think my favorite part of the whole movie was the ziplining scene. I loved it. My friend was like, what is she doing? This is weird. I'm like, this is awesome. Just this is awesome. The way it was just, it was shot beautifully. The music was beautiful. I was feeling that surge of adrenaline. I was like, oh, this is the best ever. I loved it. Like when she went to the wall. Ugh. And then the whole capture the flag thing. Awesome. Like I loved how that was playing the Ferris wheel. I wish there was a little bit more, but that's okay because I love how it wasn't all about Triss and Four in the movie. Like they have certain moments, but it took them a while to get to where they are. And I like that because sometimes, especially with movies, they kind of just throw them together within the first 30 minutes and there you go. I like you, you like me, we're together. It took them a while to build up like it did in the book, and I really liked seeing that. And I didn't feel like it was overridden with love, and I like that about Divergent because, don't get me wrong, I love contemporaries, but when I read adventures and stuff like that, I want more adventure than romance. But I still want romance, but I want a little bit more adventure. So I like that in the book, and brought her into his fear landscape, only it was different because in the movie he was trying to tell her, like, you know, a Divergent wouldn't do this, a Dauntless would do this. In the book, he's just, you know, they're just getting through it together. And in the movie, I like that. There were certain things in the movie that were changed from the book, clearly, and it didn't upset me too much. I know a lot of people are very nitpicky about things, but there were some scenes that I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. But there weren't too many scenes where I was like, that wasn't in the book. One scene I would have liked to see is when Edward got stabbed in the eye. But I understand it was a little bit too violent, and I can get that, but I wish I would have seen a little bit more of Edward. But, you know, I wish I would have seen a little bit more of Christina and Will because, or just actually Triss and Will being good friends because, you know, when she eventually has to kill Will, I don't know if a lot of people realize that they're really good friends. That was a really hard choice for her to make. I could see that in the film, but I don't know if it was shown as much as it was in the books. Like, you know, in the books, that was very, very hard for her to do. And it's brutal. And in the movie, we didn't really see much of Christina and Will. We saw, like, maybe an alluding to it, but we didn't, you know, maybe some people didn't put two and two together. And, you know, as Tris and Will, we didn't see them, you know, as really, really good friends. The scene where she gets kidnapped and then almost thrown over the chasm with Al, and that was heartbreaking, especially when she yelled at him and then he committed suicide. I thought that was done beautifully. It wasn't like, you know, not beautifully, like I was like, yay, but I was like, well, that's how I felt in the book. And then, you know, we have Caleb, and she goes and visit him, and you see Caleb, and all you guys that have read all the Divergent books are like, you jerk. I hate you. Ugh. Go jump off a cliff, Caleb. Literally. Yeah, her parents, I thought Ashley Jo was a great mom. I love that. I'm not emotional a lot when it comes to movies and books. I think a lot of people know that. Like, sometimes I'm like, well, I should be crying. I'm not crying. I think it's just because I'm just so into the movie. But I tell you what, I sobbed when Trish's mom died. I was like, oh my gosh, because I wish we got to see a little bit more of her in the books. Her dad died, and just the whole her rescuing Four, and, you know, that was, I really wish, I don't know if the book she said, like, look at me for, but, I thought in the book she was like, look at me, Tobias, because no one ever calls him Tobias, but, you know, Tris, and so I wish, did she call him that in the book? I don't remember, but I would have liked to see that in the movie, and that was good, and, I did love the part where she threw that knife in Janine's hand, like, bam! I was like, yeah, step on away, Janine, because you evil. And that whole thing, and how it ended, how they were just kind of going away. I thought the monologue at the end was great, where she was like, we don't know where we're going, and all that stuff. We're kind of, like, factionless right now, and it was all told beautifully. Like, it was 2 hours and almost 30 minutes, I believe, but it didn't feel like that. Like, there was no point in time in the movie where I was like, what time is this crap gonna end? I thought it was told great. I think they stick very well to the storyline. There were some things I was like, where's Uriah? Where is he at? But I think they're gonna introduce him in Insurgent. And I will say, I think this is gonna do really good at the box office, because when I went to see it, I could tell there were many of Divergent readers in the crowd. Like, people were clapping at certain scenes, and I felt like I was in Harry Potter all over again, because every time I went to go see a Harry Potter movie, they were just like, yeah, and I was like, yeah! And that hasn't happened lately for my book to movie adaptations, and I don't want to be the only one going, yeah, that was great! But this one, very, very active crowd. They were cheering, they were awesome, and even afterwards, I think, I heard these girls behind me, and they had rails in front of them. They were like, let's jump over these rails because we're dauntless. And I'm like, that's awesome. So I just loved every bit of this movie. I thought it was a phenomenal movie, and I highly think that they will do Insurgent. I think so. Now, forgive me, I don't know if they're doing a second City of Bones movie. I think production started and then it got delayed, so I don't know what's going on with that. Do you guys know? Because that movie was okay. But I also haven't seen Vampire Academy yet, so I don't know how that one's going. But Divergent, great. Great, great, great. Loved it so much. Now, so yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 5. Loved the cast, loved the story, loved the score, loved everything about it. If you guys have seen the movie, please leave a comment down below and let's talk about it, what you liked, what you didn't like. There was no Dauntless Cake. I didn't see any Dauntless Cake. And I looked for that crap. I was like, Dauntless Cake's gonna be in here somewhere. I didn't see it. Did you see it? If you guys want a video on my reaction to the Maze Runner trailer, I haven't watched it yet, please let me know, because I love the Maze Runner. I will see you guys next time. Bye.